Just got finished prepping the springs, the seat frames for our 56 Bel Air. We had some saggy springs. We had to straighten them out. We had some broken springs. We got those replaced. We talk about sinuous wire, all the bending tools. We talk about stay wire, show you how to install a stay wire, get all your springs moving as one, how to pull sags out of these seat frames, how to replace broken springs. We had a few of those today. A ton of information. It's very useful. Can't say that I've ever seen this anywhere else on YouTube, but it's a good one. So if you're interested in seeing how we got this done today, stay tuned. All right, welcome back to Restoring Christine. We are working on our interior for Christine, our 56 Bel Air, and I'm so excited. It's been a long time coming to get to this point. I've got the holidays got in the way, and then I had surgery, and there's a whole bunch of things that just slowed me down, and I'm like pecking at it, but we're getting there. So the last few episodes that I've had, I've been working on these my interior. So I've been getting ready to put in my Ciadella interior kit. I did a video back a long time ago, and I'll put a link to that up here, but I did an unboxing of a kit that's gorgeous. Can't wait to put it in. I've been slowly amassing all my upholstery supplies to get that installed, but I'm not quite there yet. What I'm working on is the last episode, I took off all the existing upholstery, stripped it all down. You get to see 70 years of bad upholstery repair jobs and original upholstery, 70 years old. You get to see all that. That's in another episode. Put a link to that up here. But what we're going to be working on today is simply repairing these spring frames. So let's get into it. So Christine is a 56 two-door post. She's a sedan, and this is her bench seat. So this is for the front. There's the front seat frame, and then the two rear fold downs for the front seat. There they are. This has all been disassembled. Of course, you can tell. Obvious statement. And here's the rear seat. So there's the back, the vertical part that goes against the rear bulkhead, and then here's the bottom that goes across the floorboard. And you can see these are not in bad shape. So these, I removed all the upholstery, and after I got all the hog rings out, all the excess stuff, I sprayed it down with phosphoric acid and let that eat at the rust a little bit. And I've spent some time with a wire brush dusting off the phosphorus efflorescence. There's your 50-cent word of the day, or 2 words. Phosphorus efflorescence. Enough of that silliness. Okay, so now, here are these spring seats. I want to get into the detail of what these are, and you'll see I've got 2 coils here of the springs that go here. I've also got a bunch of tools that I'm going to show you, some wire that I'm going to show you, so we're going to, let's start diving into the details. Okay, so these spring coils, you know, you talk about this, the springs on a seat, and this resembles your lazy boy, easy chair, your recliner. This looks just like that, right? So what these are called is these are called sinuous springs, as in a sine wave. So sinusoidal or sinuous, those 2 names bounce around a lot, and this is what one looks like cut fresh off the coil. So they come in different gauges, they come in different depths here, and the gauge basically follows the dimension between these sinuous waves. But you'll notice that that's the way GM built these seats. Ford built it the same way, Dodge the same way, using these sinuous springs. They'll bend the end, they'll tuck it into a clip, then they'll fold it, and they'll come around here, and they've got these three prong clips that hold it to the frame. So there's a wire frame that comes around here. These sinuous springs are bent, and they go around, and over time, these things will tend to sag. There are other components that go with this, and you'll notice the seat has a little bit of a crown on the 2 sides. And now that is from the factory. I did look it up, so the two sides were like this, but you'll notice there's also literally a spring. That's a spring wire that goes from here to here. There's one on this side, there's one on the other side. But these springs are all independently moving, which is not what they're supposed to do. That's something that we're going to fix today. But these springs, occasionally on your seat, you may have one that's broken, and if you do, you can easily replace these. You can get the sinuous springs just by the foot. You can get a few pieces parts. You can get a few clips. You can make your own clips. But this is what you're going to need, and I'm going to show you a couple of tools that'll make the installation easier. So here are the coils. Now I want to tell you a way back story about these two coils and why I bought this much. I didn't buy this much for Christine. I bought that much for this 71 Cutlass. So the 71 Cutlass I restored between 2013 and 2016, and this was a basket case of a car. And over its when it was left for dead, this 71 Cutlass, the convertible top was rotted, and of course a convertible, if the top's rotted, then the water's going in, the floorboard's going. Well, guess what's sitting on the floorboard? The rear seat. So the rear seats in here, the rear seats in this car were sitting in water, and all the springs were just corroded, gone, rotted, popped. And you want to know the sad story? If you go on the web and you try to find replacement parts, guess what you can find? You can find the rear seat springs for a sedan or a coupe, but not for a convertible. Why? Because a convertible is like the oddity. But which one is going to be the one that's going to be most likely to corrode? The convertible. Makes no sense. But I was stuck with this car when I had it apart, and I had rear seats that were, shot. The only thing that was salvageable was the exterior frame, to the saving grace, because I was able to use my imagination and those two coils of springs, and I was able to rebuild my rear seats. So these are Christine's, but you can imagine that these two were blank on that Cutlass, and I used these two coils of wire to make new ones, and away I went. So there you go. So I want to show you what these springs, how these springs work, and how you can manipulate, modify, install them. Here we go. The two coils that I have there, one is 11 gauge, that's the lighter of the two, and then the other is 9 gauge, and that's the heavier. So the 11 gauge you'd use for the backs, and the 9 gauge you'd use for the bottoms. That's a softer spring, that's a stiffer spring, all your weight sitting on the base. So typically this is a 9 gauge, and that's somewhere around 0.16 inches or something. And then this might be 0.13 inches on the 11 gauge. So there's two different ways you can cut this. One is with a cutting wheel. And it'll cut it off. Another way is with bolt cutters, and that's the way I was always doing it when I made the seats for the Cutlass. So you can get in there with a bolt cutter. This is an 18-inch bolt cutter, and it takes a little bit of force, but there it is. And you can cut these springs. So now you'll see this spring, this is not just regular steel. Watch, if I step on it and let go of it, you're not straightening that out. So how do you bend these? How do you bend these into shape if you can bend them and they stay put? It's spring steel. So I'm going to show you those tools. So there's an old school tool company, CS Osborne out of New Jersey, US company, and they make these tools that it must have been, they must date back down to the Bronze Age or something. But these tools, these have two little pockets in them. They have chisel-like handles, but they have two pockets that go in. So what you do is you take these and you put this on the spring, and basically you do this, and you can bend it. You can bend the spring like that, and you twist it. So you can see I just put a bend in it. Do that some more. So you can reverse bend this completely with this tool. So all it's doing is it's just twisting that one link, and I'm just doing this with two hands, free-handed, and now you can see how it's bent. And if I want to reverse the curve, I put it on and just do it the other way. So you have to plan where you want to bend your spring, but you're basically doing it with this tool. If I can get it without flipping around. Well, even though it flew out of my hand, you get the point. So now I've got this spring. Remember, it was in a nice steady curve. So let me go ahead and see if I can't straighten this out a little bit better. See if I can't get this. Get this bent. It's coming along, and maybe I need to bend it in a different spot, but you get the idea. So I'm sitting here, I'm trying to hold this in front of the camera and do it at the same time, but these are the tools that you need. If you want to bend these springs, and you can take these tools and that coil of wire, or at least by the foot, and you can make that, because that goes back, forward, and then back around again. So if you just look at the dimensions, you can replicate any one of those springs if you do have one broken. And I have one broken on the back of the seats. So I'm going to do that with the other size spring, which is the 11 gauge. So this is the 11 gauge spring, and you'll notice it's got a much tighter wave. Well, there's another tool, same thing, same principle. That's I don't know how big that throat is, but then this one's much smaller. It fits the spring much better. So this one, if we wanted to bend this one, this is going to be a lot easier. You saw me kind of straining and struggling with the other one. Well, this one now, the tool fits a lot better. So you can take this and bend this a lot easier. And then look, there you go. So that's how you shape these things. So now this is the 11 gauge spring. It's a lot softer, or a lot more pliable than the other gauge. I don't know why they are like snakes. They get all tangled up. But this is much more pliable than the other size. And this is what you use for the seat backs. So that's what I have over there. Is I have a problem with one of these two seat backs. One of these two seat backs has a broken spring. So I'm going to go over there, I'm going to take that spring, and I'm going to figure out how to make a new spring, and I'm going to show you how we're going to clip it in place with a special tool and 3-prong clips. So this is my driver's side seat back, and there's one spring that's broken, and it's very hard to find. I hunted and hunted and hunted for it, because I know I saw it when I was cleaning these up, but here, it's broken right here. It was broken right at the 3-prong clip, and you'll notice that, I guess, the driver's side seat, you know, you're constantly banging on it as you get in and out, in and out, in and out. And you'll notice they have a wire here. It looks like craft paper, but it's not. I'm going to show you that too. This is called stay wire. And you can see that the seat originally had stay wire. And look, it broke here, it broke here, it broke here. So it broke over here. So it's no wonder these springs started moving independently over Christine's 70-year life. And I guess bending and bending and bending it, eventually something's going to break, and it gave. It gave right here. So one of these bottom springs is what broke. So this is something that gives the bottom some resilience, and you'll notice how this is designed. I don't know if you can really see it, but within, there's like every one of the ends of the springs has a fold, a fold, a fold, a fold, a fold, a fold, but on the inside, a fold, nothing, a fold, nothing, and a fold. So this spring has nothing, this spring has nothing, which is what the stay wire was supposed to do. The stay wire was supposed to go from spring to spring to spring to spring to spring, so that as you leaned on this one that doesn't have a fold, this one, it was supposed to engage that and that. And so I guess what they wanted is they thought that if they had a spring in here, folded in between here, that it was going to be too stiff, and these stay wires broke. So I'm going to show you the stay wire, which also can be used as listing wire. So this is the stay wire. Now this is in an unopened pack. I ordered 2 of these because I want to use this for listing wire too. So stay wire is the function. It bridges the springs to make them act a little more uniformly instead of independently. So they call that stay wire. But listing wire is the wire that goes around the perimeter of, or the edge of your vinyl. It has a little placket, a little fold, a little slot, and you slip the wire in, and then the hog rings go through it and hold it. Well, you can use this as listing wire. So that's called listing wire. This is sold as stay wire, but you can use this in the function of stay wire or in the function of listing wire. So this, even though this is sold, this is a 32-foot roll. This is sold as 9 gauge, but the wire gauge here and the wire gauge there are 2 different systems. I'm not quite sure, but this is sold as 9 gauge wire, but it's much, much more thin. It's about the thickness of a coat hanger. I tried to find this locally. Good luck with that. This is old school stuff, and I wasn't able to find it locally, but this was only like $12 for a 32-foot roll. So now here's an open roll. I'm going to go ahead and unclip it. And you can see it's trying to return to the shape from whence it came. And I'm sure this last one, it's going to go boing. There we go. Okay. So now I'm gonna have to let this go and let this unfurl. There it went. So that was fun. But you can see it held it, at least it held its straight shape. I don't have to unfurl it completely, but there it is. So that's why I was leaving this in the pack, so I didn't have to deal with this. So let me clip a piece of this and we'll show you how to work with that. All right, so here's the wire. And you can see it's got this craft paper on it, and the craft paper will peel back, but this kind of makes it silent wire. I think that's another way that they refer to it, but you can see the wire now, how thick it is. It's pretty thin. It's not, it's not all that thick. The craft paper makes up most of its thickness, which now that you see that the wire is only that big, you can understand why they break on the frame. But also, because it's that thin, it's a little more pliable. So, the individual springs can move, and I think this craft paper will allow the wire on the inside to kind of slip and slide a little bit, and it won't squeak, it won't make noise, and it'll allow it some leniency to move back and forth. So now this is held in place with those 3-prong clips. So the 3-prong clips, they sell you some, at least at this kit I got, they gave a packet of these with the stay wire, but I already had, you'll notice it's a much bigger size. I already had 3-prong clips. There's 2 different sizes. So I already had 3-prong clips when I bought those 2 rolls of sinuous wire. And again, I mentioned that Osborne tool company, they make a special tool which is crazy expensive because it's very unique. And this, you just use this on the 3-prong clip, and when you put 2 wires in here, a spring and the stay wire, 2 springs, the edge of the frame and a spring, anything, and you just clip this together and you pinch this, and it'll fold the two leaves over, and it'll fold the 2 fingers over, and it'll fold the 3rd finger over in the middle and clamp it like this. Unfortunately, I find that this tool doesn't do a great job with it. I find that this thing leaves these prongs kind of like sticking out a little bit, and you got to take a pair of vice grips and kind of work them and to make them look, or to make them fully close and tighten up. So this is what we're going to be using to some way, shape, or form to put that listing wire in there. But so here's today's task. I need to replace that spring. I need to bend some of these springs to get the sag out of them, and I need to put that stay wire in, and then these frames will be ready to go. I do also want to mention that it's not a bad idea to have some round bar to have on hand in case you get into a problem area with your frame. It's bent too much, it's corroded too much. So this happens to be 3/16. I bought a few pieces of these. Some of the frame is like 1/4 inch, some of it's 3/16, some of it is 1/8 inch. So I just happened to, I bought several pieces of this 3/16 inch round bar, and this I will potentially use if I need it, if I run into any problems with any of my framing around the perimeter. So that's the last piece. So let's look at that spring I've got to replace. It's here. So I'm going to have to figure out how I want to splice in another piece in here. So I'm going to have to take, let's see, this clip is holding 2 wires together. It's holding one that comes this way and one that goes that way. So I'll probably leave that clip in place. So let me go ahead and get the spring out of here, and I don't want to bend the spring because I want to replicate it. But also there's one more thing that I haven't gotten to yet. I'll show you how I'm going to make this bend, because you can see that when you're putting this clip in, if you cut it straight, this little end would want to slip out. So you got to put a little bit of a return on that, and I've made a special tool to do that. I'll show you that in a second. There it is. So I got it out. You can see there's nothing to it. It's just a little zigzag. So I'm going to take the 11 gauge wire, and I'm going to make another one like this, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to bend this other thing with a special tool that I made. So now, of course, here's the replacement spring, and here's the original spring, and you can see that these two are different. They're a different dimension. So I'm going to have to make do with this, but I can't just go 2 peaks bend it on a third, and then, you know, 2 peaks and bend it on a third, and so on and so forth. I can't do that. I'm going to have to try to mimic this length so that I've got enough to get there. So I may end up having to make this longer, and you can see if I did this spring, I'm probably now wanting to bend it over here. So I'm going to have one more, or at least 1/2 sine bend in this in order to make this. So let's see if I can't get that done. So watch. I'm going to start the end right where my end is. And you can see now if I folded this over, it's going to have to be a little bit longer here. I'm going to have to bend it on that. And then when I do it again, I'm going to have to bend it on another one. So let's get the first bend in it, which will be right at this point. And I'm going to use my 2 shorter bendy tools, and I need to bend it right on that piece. So here and here is where I need to bend it. So I'm going to take these 2, I'm going to fold it and bring it all the way around. And if I bring it too much, I can always undo it. So here I've got it started. So let's get it started, and we'll be able to get it roughed in and get it close, and then we'll be able to get it the rest of the way. So now, and that's where I need to put a little bendity-do in it, right? So I need to bring that to my tool and bend it. Bend the end. There we go. So now it doesn't exactly look like it just yet, but now I need to sit here and play with the shape to make sure that I get it like it's supposed to be. So it looks like, you know, what's important is where this height is, just to get this distance between these 2 points right. Yeah, that's about it. So we're close. Let's see, how do we compare to our original? It's hard to tell. I need to get it a little bit more. That's right. This is way off. This needs to come back. So what I probably need to do is let me get where I can get the tool, and I'll bend it at another coil, because I couldn't get the tool was binding out on itself. Now look at it. So now we got it getting closer, and there we go. So that's getting much closer to what we need to have. So let's take this over to the seat and see if this doesn't do what it needs to do. All right, so this is a tool I made. It's just got a little lever. It's got 2 little bars here to pinch the wire in place, and it's got a little rounded end here to make the fold. All right, put it in the tool right here. Bring that up, bend it. There you go. There it is. So let's bring this to the seat and make sure it works. So now it goes in here like this. Let's see, I got it backwards. Goes like that. And it comes up to this. It's going to clip right here, and then it's going to go down, and it's going to clip on the bottom. It's going to clip right there. So it's going to fit. So I just need to go get my 3-prong clippies and go ahead and see if I can't get this attached. So I'm going to try to use my original clips. I'm going to show you, put this in here like this. If I can get it in like that, and that should clamp it. Should clamp around the original clip. Here's this. It's going to end up doubling up the clip, but that's okay. If I can get this buried in there, I should be all right. And get that encased and pinch it and tight. So I'm going to have to take my vice grips and then pinch that a little bit more, but I need to flip this over and go to the other side. Just for giggles and grins, I'm going to use the smaller clips that came with the stay wire, and I am going to try to do this with just the vice grips. So I'm going to put it on like this and see what happens. So I'm going to try it with regular pliers maybe and pinch this. I'm betting you can do it. Should be able to. Yeah, there you go. Look. With just a little bit of patience, there you go. Look, you don't need the special tool. I have it. I wanted to show it to you. It's crazy expensive. You would think that it would be ideal, but here I'm just using a needle nose pliers with a bent end, and that seems to be working just fine. And this is the three clip, 3-prong, 3-tab clip that came with the stay wire. So we're going to use that because look, that worked just fine. Take a step back, and there's the new piece. It's in there. So it is now right here, this one, and there you go. Let's say that works. This is the way the factory had it originally. So there you go. So now we need to cut this listing wire free. Not listing, this stay wire. We need to cut that stay wire free and go ahead and clip that in place. So I'm just going to clip it without undoing I'm not going to undo the clamps on this one. I'm just going to get this kind of like out of the way. And then now, so that's the remnant of the original. We're going to leave that alone. We're going to leave that alone. I'll probably bend these down a little bit to get them from poking my burlap when I do it. You know, we'll just bend those down. And now they're out of the way. They won't poke, they won't hurt anybody. And now I need to get that stay wire, and I'm gonna run that stay wire, probably not in that same spot, but I'll run it right next to it. I'll run it right down the middle right there. And we'll see how this seat behaves differently at that point. I'm gonna bend these up a little bit just to give me a little bit more, because this one's kind of proud, and these are kind of down a little bit, especially this one. You know, this one seems like it's doing well, but not this one. Well, this one, these two don't have the inner spring, do they? So once I put the stay wire on, and they will, but what I want to do is I want to bring these up a little bit. So I'm going to get my bendy tool, bend these up, and then we'll put that stay wire on. Watch, I'm going to go from this side. And you remember it's got these bottom springs. So if I want these to come up a little bit, I need to get on like this spring. I need to bend that up a little bit. So I really just need to do something like this. Bend that like that. Open it up a little bit, and that'll bring that up a little bit. Same thing here. Bend it, and that'll make that a little bit. So I'm bringing some, you know, this is still down. Look, that's down about 3/8 to a half. And now that's the one I just did. So let's see, where can I bend this one? But I think I need it like that. That one's kind of hard, but that one's up a little bit. And once I put the stay wire on, and this one's a little easier because of where it is. So that's that. And these two are they're kind of soft because of the fact it doesn't have this stay wire on it. But now once we put the stay wire, we'll see what happens. And if I don't like it, I'll put a spring in here. But I don't know that I need to just yet. Let's go ahead and see where we're at with the stay wire. All right, so I cut a rough piece here, and I got me 6 clips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so let's go ahead and start somewhere. We'll start in the middle. We'll start right there, and I'll get the clip on, and we'll start that. There you see, boom, needle nose. Get the needle nose on it. That's simple. Get down in there. And the last one. Now you'll notice on that side, I noticed that they had a bend. So I'm going to put a bend and I'm going to put a kink in it. And that way it'll lock it from moving. Boom. All right, the moment of truth now. Oh, shoot. That's what you want. There it is. Look at that. So look, the stay wire is the magic to the whole thing. Look at that. So it's got these supports in the end. This spring and this spring don't have it, so it gives it a measured amount of push. But look, now that's all behaving right. Just from a piece of wire. That's awesome. So now I just did the passenger side similarly. This one, the listing wire wasn't broken all the way. It was broken in 1-2 spots. So what I did is I left the original one and I just piggybacked it and did another one right next to it. So now this is all behaving just like it should. And I did the same thing. I bent the springs up a little bit just to give it a little bit of a crown. And I noticed that when I started with this one was a little prouder than this one when I started. So this definitely had some sag in it. But these springs still feel good. You know, they were all working well. I did discover another break in, where was it? Up here. I discovered another break. So it was in one of these inner springs that comes from the bottom to the top. And I was able to just lap them and just clamp them together. It was just easier than breaking that whole thing out. It wasn't going to be any better of a repair, so I just did it that way. So now I'm going to turn my attention to some of these other components. So this is the bottom of the front seat. Let's just continue with that. The back of the front seat, I was really concerned about this. I was like, wow, you know, look, that it's straight here, then bent, straight, bent, straight. And I'm thinking, well, man, that can't possibly be from the factory, but I did look at some pictures of factory replacement spring sets, and they're made just like that, which the oddball is this guy. Why is this guy like this? So I might have to bend that in order to make it fit like the rest of them because it's up a little higher. There's that problem. Then another thing I was looking at, which I don't think is a problem, is this tapers down towards the middle. So it's high in the corner. Well, I'm going to leave that alone because I think this wants to be high in the corner because you're constantly, you know, getting on that corner. So we will see when we put the vinyl on and the padding, but I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to believe that this wire is supposed to be shaped that way. So I'm going to bend that wire. I will improve some of the shape of these, you know, because they're not even. You can see these are a little higher than this one, so there's some sag. There's some sag over here. You can see that spring. This spring's a little low. And I'm going to put the stay wire on it, so I'm going to go ahead and get that done. All right, there it is. I bent everything like I wanted it, got some sag out of it, and let's see how that's going to behave. Look at that. Look, see how when you press on these, I was engaging the entire seat all the way across? You know, you can count on your vinyl and your foam to do that, and there's going to be burlap and whatnot that'll bind it a little bit more. And I've seen some other videos where, you know, they try to tie all this together, but that's the right way to do it. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. I wish the kit came with more of these clips. I'm about to run out of these clips, so I'm going to end up having to use for some of that other stay wire. I'm going to have to use some of my clips that I have, which are a lot more beefy and they're going to be more difficult to do. But there you go. I mean, so let's see. I'll actually sit in it. How's that? So I'll sit on it and I'll pretend I'm driving Christine. Yeah? Yeah, I'd say it works. Look, it's engaging the seat, the springs all the way down. That's pretty good. All right. Next step. So as I look at my back seat, you can see the sweep. It's got this hump. It goes right over the transmission tunnel, or the drive shaft tunnel. And it sweeps down and then up and then down and up. And I'm pretty sure that is not normal. Because I look, it would match this, and that shape is not. It's pretty much a straight line in this direction. And it might have a sweep into the plane of the seat. So that would be like this way, but not vertically. So since that's basically straight across, this needs to be straight across. And there's a lot of corrosion on that wire. There's a lot of corrosion on those clips. There's a lot less wear and tear on this seat, but I see that the back is messed up. So I might try to bend some of the sag out of this, but there's probably not a lot. So let me go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do with that rear back wire, and we'll take it from there. Well, I hate to say it, but I broke a couple of springs. I was trying to bend them, and this is where they were corroded, and they popped. So I had one here and one here broke. And so right now I'm trying to fit in a new piece. So I'm going to end up having to leave. I'm going to have to let that be. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to build that up with foam. So when I put my seat covers on, I'm going to build up a little bit extra padding, and we're just going to have to adapt. But there's no way I'm going to go and replace all these springs, because that's actually the spring for the actual sitting part. So the sitting part, it comes back and it bends right there and it goes down. So that's all one spring, one spring, one spring. So as it is now, these two are going to end up being spliced. But I'm going to do that, and then as I'm putting my seat cushions on, if I find that this is too low, I'm going to go ahead and pad that up a little bit. So let me go ahead and repair these two springs, and then I'll put the stay wire on the bottom, I'll put the stay wire on the back, and then we'll call it a day. Let me show you how the first one came out. So I pinched this closed with the vice grip to give that a little loop, because it had this little loop before. So I pinched that closed in order to do that, and I bent it up. And then here, because this is a little bit short, you see how this is down lower than this? So that was going to mean it was going to pull this even worse, further down. So instead of clamping it here, where the spring broke, I clamped it on up here. Let's see, you can see it. So I clamped it here. So I got a little bit of overlap between the original spring that broke back here and the new spring which comes to here. So that ought to hold. Hopefully that'll clear the floor. If not, we'll have to bend it, but that's got that repaired. So I need to make another one just like that to go in this slot, and I'm going to leave the rest alone. So let me get that done. All right, I got the second one in. So you can see it down there. It's kind of the odd little curly Q compared to the one next to it, but that's a replacement. The one on the end's a replacement. It's spliced here. And then I noticed this. I bent all of these springs. I took 2 screwdrivers and I basically pried this open a little bit. Not to worry about this bar, because that's where I was breaking it. So I pried them so that every one of these would come up a little bit, and they came up a lot, you know. So, but as I was doing that, I noticed these 2 center springs. Look, they got an inner spring, something. So I don't know if that's like meant for, you know, like the concentrated load, like if you're sitting here and then suddenly you put your hand on there and you pry up, and maybe something to give it a little more resilience, but this is like, it's got 0 resilience. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and fit in 2 more springs in here. I'm gonna make like a little arch or something. All right, I don't know if you can see it, but I put an arch in there so it goes up and over and around. And because these things don't intersect like these in parallel, because they're perpendicular, I'm gonna use hog rings, and I'm gonna hog ring that in. So let me set up the camera and I'll show you how that works. So the hog ring pliers, like this, and they're spring loaded, and they've got little indents here to put the ring in. So you put the ring in here, and then when you crimp it, it closes that and pinches that shut. So that's what I'm going to do here. All right, I got them off. What I need to do is I need to kind of go from underneath like this and get around it. And there you go. Now it's got it clamped. There you go. So that's crimped. That's crimped. Spring is on there. It's tight. And you can see like these individual springs. Now that's got a lot of spring. These have more, but this is very stiff. It's more movement over here. Okay, let me go ahead and get the stay wire on, and then that'll be it for the bottom. All right, there you go. It was actually 25 minutes on the video camera, but it's less than a minute or a minute and a half or so on the hyperlapse. There you go, the stay wire's on in the middle. I didn't see any evidence that there was ever a stay wire on the back, but there's a stay wire on everything else, so I've got one in the middle. And I think that's gonna work great. I mean, you can see what happens now. You're in the middle. Look, you can see how it's pulling that stay wire and it's tugging on everything. That's great. That's what you want. I started off, I did the bottom. Well, that's true. I did the bottom on the hyperlapse. Let's see, where was the bottom? That's the bottom. So I did it at the bottom on the hyperlapse, but you see I used my tool and my original clamps, and you can see how big they are. But it was okay, because on this one I was going on that heavier gauge material, so they were clamping on just fine. But this back has got that lighter gauge material, it's thinner, so the clamps, the clips weren't working as well. But there it is. So let me step back and we can look at everything. All right, so there's the front seat, the back. I got the stay wire in place. I repaired a few broken springs on that. The bottom of the front seat, the stay wire's in place. Took out some saggy spots in that one. Got that looking good. Similarly with the back, I had a couple of springs that actually broke on me as I was trying to fix it up, and I replaced them, no problem. Got the stay wire in on both of them. It's all there. So, you know, that's a lot of information there on the Sinuous springs, the bending tool, the three prong clips, the hog rings, the stay wire. It's a ton. But that's going to do it. Hadn't been too bad of a day. I don't know. I've been at it maybe 5 hours. I took a break for lunch. You know, I got a blister in my finger. But this is all part of it. You know, so if you're doing your own upholstery, I haven't seen any videos that cover this sort of stuff. You know, it's like you can replace the padding, you can replace all the jute, the burlap, you can replace all that. But if you don't have a good foundation, then it's, you know, what are you doing? So this information will hopefully make your interior that much better. So that was my goal. There it is. Do hope you got something out of it, and if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and as always, if you enjoy my channel, I would love a subscription. So until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.